And we are back, TV Time Machine podcast with our guest Mikel Wisler and Adam. Adam, how's things over in Forest Grove treating you?
Pretty good. Um, it was warming up, but then it started getting cold again, and now I have the heat on again, which is the worst for my skin.
Yeah, makes it a little stuffy in that
Oh, you
room.
just get all ashy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you know what would really help with that? A humidifier. Uh, if you could put a price tag on comfort and harmony, what would it cost, Adam? What would it cost, Michael? I say it's priceless. But in a reality of money and numbers, a price tag is inevitable. The benefits of the everlasting Comfort 4-liter ultrasonic cool mist humidifier are wide ranging, Adam. I can tell you're so into this
So it's
conversation.
not just my skin that's going to benefit.
No, it helps soothe the symptoms of the flu and common cold. Watch out, COVID. It offers relief from asthma and other allergens and provides what we've all been longing for, especially these days. I can't believe I haven't laughed yet. And provides what we've all been longing for, especially these days: peace, relaxation, and the peace of mind breathing fresh, bacteria, mold, spore, and virus free air brings. Get 20% off using promo code The Screen Kid at everlastingcomfort.net. All right. That wasn't too bad. That wasn't too bad at all. We'll get better
I'm
at
sold.
sneaking those in. You're sold? Cool.
Yeah.
All right. So talking sci-fi, Michael, tell us more about your brand and what you write about and what you podcast about.
Oh, sure. Happy to. Yeah. I was hugely influenced by X-Files, but also Jurassic Park and Sphere, Michael Crichton's work. And so kind of those two things have blended together in a very interesting way. And my love of fiction ultimately is found in this, I think, exploration of why are we here? These sort of questions. Why are we here? Where are we going? What's life all about?
Mm-hmm.
And so I decided to launch a podcast around the idea of how can science help us save the world? How can we build a better tomorrow by paying attention to the themes and the deep philosophical insides is the cultural, ethical,
Um,
societal, and
Michael, you're breaking up a little bit. I'm wondering if maybe we need to have you sign out and sign back in for the audio.
maybe if
Um,
it's
maybe like re-render or now you sound great.
oh yeah, go figure, right?
What's the name of your podcast?
My podcast is called Exploring Tomorrow, and it's on Spotify and pretty much really every podcast format out there,
Awesome.
and on YouTube as well. I put it on there.
And
But yeah,
if
it's
you were
called Exploring.
okay, go for
Oh
it.
yeah,
No, you're fine.
yeah. I was just going to say, yeah, the full title is Exploring Tomorrow: Meaningful Science Fiction and Life's Big Questions. So we're like thinking
Ooh,
through sort of those philosophical aspects of how can science fiction help us make sense of life.
I loved philosophy in college. That was my favorite freshman course. My God.
I
Mostly
ended
because
up getting a major in it.
awesome. That is awesome. Yeah. Adam, I'm at a loss for words. I mean, how do you follow that up?
Wasn't the show originally called Socrates and Sci-Fi or something like that? Or was that
I
part of the old slogan?
Yeah, oh, I mean, it's still there. It's just on my overall branding,
Oh,
you
okay,
know,
okay.
as like wanting, because my whole approach and thinking is wanting to tell meaningful stories through
Mhm,
science fiction
mhm.
and do that sort of introspection. So so if you hop on my website, yeah, there's kind of sort of Socrates meets sci-fi as kind of a shorthand for what to expect as you sort of dip your toes into my novels and short stories and things like that. Like I'm trying to ask questions, get philosophical, introspective, while still being legitimately fun, engaging stories. I don't want to sacrifice storytelling for the sake of just asking some big philosophical question. I still want it to legitimately be a good story. So yeah, that's still very much a real aspect of what I do in the stories I'm writing. And my first novel, Unidentified, is very X-Files like and deals
Mhm.
with alien abduction and questions around that, and presents a possible scenario and sort of different argument towards it. And then my second novel, Sleepwalker, is a cyberpunk thriller,
Oh,
and deals more with the human augmentation and what happens when you begin to tamper with the brain and reprogram the brain, and kind of some real technology and advances there in neuroscience that are potentially down the road. And so in that Socratic tradition of asking questions and speculating about, like, well, what are our responsibilities as individuals and as a society once we start unlocking this kind of power?
did you
What do we
see
do?
that Neuralink footage recently of the monkey playing Pong?
Oh no, I didn't see that.
Wow, it's amazing. It's like Elon Musk's company is doing that Neuralink
Right.
technology.
Yep.
So they released it on Twitter, and freakiest thing I've ever seen. This monkey just goes up to this Pong, and it's being, the reward is a banana smoothie that it's sipping out of this thing, but it's literally playing Pong, and
Wow.
with its brain. It's the craziest thing I've ever seen. You have to
Yeah. Yeah.
tweet that.
So
I feel like,
it's around the corner.
yeah. What's your take on virtual reality? Like was it Johnny Mnemonic?
Johnny
Mnemonic?
Mnemonic.
Mnemonic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was
I mean,
Keanu,
the
right? Keanu
Matrix.
Reeves.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
What's your
Yeah.
take
I
on
mean,
that? I feel like Ready Player One, I feel like is going to be a little more on the nose than people realize.
right. I mean, we're getting there. I mean, there's going to be ways in which it differs for sure.
Hmm.
The science fiction hasn't always really, it's not really best suited for like making exact predictions. Certainly our was it 2015 was very different than Back to the Future too.
Crispin and
Where's my
Glover.
flying car? Yeah, I know, right? Where's my flying car? I want it. Or at least my hoverboard, right? But
Well, flying cars are around.
Yeah,
That is
it's
the
true.
thing, but you just need
Yeah,
a few
They're very different.
$100,000. Yeah, very
Yeah.
different from what
and
we
you
see
can't
in
weigh
Back to the
more than like
Future.
130.
Right.
It's like they're basically huge drones. I mean, it's the same
Yeah.
technology
Yeah.
as a drone.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. I mentioned Crispin Glover because did you know that he set a precedent for copyright because the studio just started using his image for Back to the Future 2, even
Oh,
though,
yes.
and he's
Yeah.
like, you fired me from this movie. Why are you using my face? And he won. He like sued the studio and won.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't
Yeah,
mess with
good for
Crispin.
And then didn't work for a long time.
Yeah, he got
Right. That was that.
blacklisted.
Yep. That's why he did all those small indie films.
Hey, you gotta do what you gotta do.
Yeah.
Adam, we
But yeah,
haven't
I
heard
think
about your
yeah.
favorite TV show for sci-fi at all.
My favorite sci-fi show.
There's got to be
I
one.
don't know. Yeah. It's probably X-Files or Twilight Zone. I was
Ooh.
obsessed with Twilight Zone as a kid. I still kind of am. I love when new movies come out and you're like, oh yeah, this Twilight Zone episode.
Yeah, they just expanded on.
Parasite is a Twilight Zone episode.
Parasite was.
It's the episode. A guy, he tries to he tries to trick his wife into something, and for some reason brings home a couple homeless people, but then can't get them out of his house.
That's a nightmare.
Yeah, but
No offense to homeless
if you
people.
watch it, it's just like Parasite, and I was just like, wait, I know this. I feel like I know this Twilight Zone episode. But
Michael, did you see Parasite?
I haven't yet. I'm a little behind with work and life
Yeah.
here. I have I got to sit
Sorry.
down and watch it.
It's
No, it's all good.
no, it's literally not to no spoilers, but I've never seen a movie do a 180 like that. And then it
Yeah.
just becomes terrifying for like half an hour.
Awesome.
Yeah, and it's not exactly like the Twilight Zone episode.
Yeah.
But it just it's a lot like it. It's a lot like how Do the Right Thing is like the hottest day of the year, which was a Twilight Zone episode that, you know, Do the Right Thing was based on.
How do you feel about Jordan Peele's Twilight Zone and the remakes of the? I think it's brilliant. The social political messaging
I wish I would have gotten to see it.
it's available on
Yeah, no, I just didn't see it when it was airing and like when
Okay.
everybody was like talking about it. You know, I didn't get to be part of that.
I think so. There's been a couple of incarnations of the Twilight Zone over the years, but one story that keeps coming back, and they did it with Jordan Peele's, is the Terror at 30,000 feet with the monster gremlin on the.
Yeah,
Well, William Shatner's was great. John Lithgow's in the Twilight Zone movie was horrifying. That fucked me up so bad as a kid. The new one with Adam Scott is really interesting. So he gets on the plane. He's listening to a podcast, of course, because everything's podcast now. And the podcast is a news report about his plane crashing. Like it's like a future skip. Yeah, and he's like tuning in to this podcast, and they're like, "We think it was this passenger that had a bomb." I'm like, "This is so cool!" And so he's looking for the passenger that they're describing on the podcast and trying to warn people. Oh my God, like such a great twist on that story. Like a terror, get it? Terror at 3000. Terror has changed because of 9/11.
Right.
Fucking brilliant. That's how you do a remake, or you just do a shot for shot, make the monster more scarier. But no, they've kept up with the politics. So I don't know.
That's fascinating.
That's
a bit like the continual reinvention of Invasion of the Body Snatchers that seems to happen. Like the political context and who the body snatchers kind of represent changes throughout the decades, but there's like it re-embodied into a new social context.
I remember seeing they had an original ending for the original Body Snatchers where he was like, "You're next." Kevin McCarthy was screaming and that terrified me as a kid. And it was too horrifying for audiences because it was, communism. You're next. The Ruskies are going to get you, the Reds. So
yeah.
Wow. The Nicole Kidman movie didn't. I don't know what they were trying to say with that. Daniel Craig. It was just way too shiny.
I think they were trying to say, "Give us money."
How do you feel? I mean, I know Tom Cruise, I'm fascinated since you're a sci-fi author. Tom Cruise kind of went through this phase where he did like repeat. What was the name of that movie where he died? Edge of Tomorrow.
You mean Paul Thomas Anderson's favorite movie?
That's his favorite movie?
Is that
really? I didn't know that.
I think he said he saw it like every day for a couple weeks.
That's on tune with the that's on the nose with the storyline there. For sure. Yeah,
he just kept going back. He just had to keep seeing it.
And then Tom Cruise also did the movie where
Oblivion.
Oblivion was fascinating. That's Philip D.
Minority Report.
Yeah, Minority Report was another one.
It's
Those are all
a Scientologist.
Is that why you think?
I don't know.
But I mean,
if the joke gets laughs.
It will. I laughed. What do you think makes good sci-fi though? Because there's a lot of bad sci-fi too. Like
there's a lot of bad sci-fi.
It's really hard to determine. Sci-fi tends to go through phases where people are taking it seriously, and then it starts to just like become camp, or like they do it into the ground, and then like what the trend in sci-fi is changes. I tried to find like a comprehensive list of sci-fi shows from the beginning of time till now, but there are thousands of them. So nobody's ever made like a chronological list. And while I was trying to make one, I noticed that it was like things were in space, then they were, like situated in the real world, but there was some like scientific device or, you know, phenomena that was different. And then that would like run itself into the ground, and then space would come back, and
Robots.
it just keeps it, there's like this like these cycles that it goes in and out of, and they always end up like hitting this wall where they just get really campy at a point, and then something else comes on and takes over. The very first sci-fi show, Captain Video and the Video Rangers, wasn't even meant to be a TV show. It was supposed to be kind of like an Elvira thing, where it was like Captain Video and the Video Rangers just hosted movies.
Nice.
But then the segments were so popular that they instantly switched it, and it was just a 30-minute show about Captain Video and the Video Rangers.
Yeah.
And they were in space. And it's mostly forgotten because they never saved any of the episodes. Episodes were just destroyed. They were making 6 episodes a week. Also.
How could you destroy celluloid? That's such a crime.
I don't know.
What a crime.
But
Really?
it lives on. It lives on in the Honeymooners episode, Ralph and the Spaceman.
That was in Back to the Future.
Well, yeah, and which is also in Back to the Future. But in that episode, the show that he's watching is Captain Video and the Video Rangers.
Amazing.
So that's like the only place it is. But yeah, that show kind of, even if it was around, people would be scratching their heads at it, because
Probably.
the network, it was on the Dumont television network.
Okay.
They had bought the rights to a bunch of Westerns that like Captain Video and the Video Rangers were supposed to host. And because it became a show and they weren't, you know, hosting these movies, they just started editing clips of the Westerns into the show.
Interesting.
Yeah, which like the few remaining episodes there are, it's just like people say it's like scratch your head, like what's going on, because they'll be like, we need to dispatch our, you know, our agents on Earth, and then it shows like guys on like horses.
So that's where Cowboys and Aliens came from. Okay.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
How did you feel about that?
But then Flash Gordon came out and it totally disappeared. Like the show just ended. They were just like, oh, we can't compete with this.
Yeah, I remember seeing clips of Flash Gordon.
Yeah.
And that wasn't even a long running show, but it was enough to take that off the air. And there were some other shows like Flash Gordon that popped up around the same time. But
so what would you say, Michael, if you were trapped in an elevator with someone and they were like, yeah, pitch me your story, what would you say a good universal elements of a good sci-fi story that really sticks? What would you say those would be?
You do something that is high concept, you know, that grand level about where we're headed as a species. What are we going to deal with, or ask some fundamental question about reality? I think those kinds of elements are very easy to tap into, but to make something last, I think it really always comes back to the characters.
Right.
And do you care about the characters and the journey that those characters are on? And I think also that especially for TV, the evolution has been such that, you know, we've gone from this purely episodic world to now getting to tell these longer standing stories, you know, and you know, thankfully Lost, which kind of touches into sci-fi, I think really helps cement that. There were shows that were doing it, you know, like Buffy was kind of building up this like longer saga, and X-Files was doing it intermittently. So you had your monster of the week, but then you had the mythology of the show, which was slowly chipping away at this like bigger story arc.
Mulder's sister.
But then Lost kind of, yeah, Mulder's sister, and then what's the whole deal with aliens, and like why are they here? you know. And then Lost cemented it as a no, this is more like reading a book where you can't just, or a series of books, like you can't just skip
Skip
to
ahead. Yeah.
the third Harry Potter movie chapter, or Harry Potter book in chapter 5 and expect to know like what in the hell is going on.
Yeah. Star Trek
And
Discovery followed that. They've switched. Now it's all
mhm.
one story as opposed to the episodes. Like Next
And I think it's
Generation, you can watch out of order and get a
Babylon 5 did that also.
one story arc.
yeah.
Babylon 5, they were the goal was novelization in TV format.
Mm,
So like a set amount of seasons, like, you know, knowing what the out point is, and, you know, not breaking from it and just going week to week.
that's awesome.
I respect that so much. Like
Yeah.
I wish more shows would do that, honestly, you know, because I think that's like what ended up biting X-Files in the ass, was that there was just an element of like, oh yeah, this is kind of, we're stretching it out, like we're
Yeah.
pulling it to
Yeah. It was like just
negotiations, and it's like just you know, tell the story and end.
and stop jumping the shark. I mean, they jumped the shark so many times in that
Yeah.
show. My God. Especially with Scully getting pregnant with an alien baby. That was like, come on. Then it was abducted. Then the baby was abducted.
And Mulder
she-
was abducted.
Yeah. Everyone
Yes.
gets stolen. Skinner, though, I'm telling you that's one of the best characters
What happened
ever.
to Skinner? Because then there was the other director
Such a
after him.
badass, such a hard
Why
ass.
do
You know,
I
like
forget that?
I've had
Right,
bosses
right.
like Skinner that just don't want to hear it. You know, they're never wrong, and he's just one of those
Yeah.
classic boss, never wrong badasses. You know, I miss those kind of characters.
Who was the boss that replaced him? Because there was somebody who replaced Skinner as director. I think it was like in season 5 or season 6.
Let me look that up.
And
Yeah,
but I can't remember why Skinner was replaced. Like for some reason I'm blanking on that.
Who
Yeah,
replaced
blanking
Skinner
on it.
in the X-Files? What happened to Skinner?
Then he comes
Ugh.
back at some point, right?
He does come back.
Skinner dies.
Oh,
The star talks with about the twist in this season 7. We'll talk about that when we come back. Getting the timer for our next break. We'll talk about what happened to Skinner and our other favorite shows, and we're gonna do the game. I don't care if the sound doesn't come through. We'll do an incarnation of it.
Sweet. Sounds good.
Sound good, Adam? We'll be right
Yeah.
back. I will hit you guys up in about 10 minutes.
Sounds good.
all right.
All right.